What's up? Welcome back to my channel. So this year I am really trying to do this wrap-up format that I've actually been wanting to do for a couple years, but I just kept forgetting. I feel like this will be much easier for me, especially as a new mom. My brain is just not always there. So what I'm doing for this year, if I can remember every single month, is that as soon as I finish a book that I'm reading within the month, I am going to tell my thoughts here as if I'm doing a wrap-up for that book. So instead of waiting until the end of the month and then having to talk about, you know, like the 10 books that I read and remember everything that I thought about them, I'm going to film the little segment for the book when I finish. So I actually finished my first book of the year last night, so I am here to talk about it. And then when I finish the next book, I will film the next segment, and then I'll just put it all together into one wrap-up video. And so I'm very excited, especially because I am going to be filling out my reading journal while I do those things, and then that will help me stay accountable to filling out my reading journal as soon as I'm done reading and keeping up with all the things. And then at the end of the month, I'll already have this video filmed. So it just sounds like, you know, pure genius. So let's see if it works. All right, so the first book that I finished reading here in January is The Inmate by Freida McFadden. Now this was actually the buddy read for my Patreon this month. And I have a hit or miss relationship with Freida McFadden's books because some of them I absolutely loved, like The Housemaid. And then there were some other ones, Never Lie or something like that. It has like the couch on the front cover. And that one was not really that great in my opinion. Now, The Inmate, I am actually going to be giving 3 stars, and it is very unfortunate because this book kept me on the edge of my seat. It was so fast paced. I listened to it partially on Everend, which is, you know, the new name for Scribd, but then I have been switching to reading on my Kindle at night instead of being on my phone. And so usually for like an hour at night after we would go to bed, I would be also reading the book on my Kindle where I had left off from the audio that day. Now, reading on the Kindle, I feel like already makes the reading experience just that much faster, but then reading a Freida McFadden book, I mean, I was like going through this book like as fast as possible. I needed to know what was happening. So this book is about our main character, Brooke. She had this traumatic thing happen to her this one night. You know, they never tell you what it is or what's going on. She came out as a survivor from this traumatic thing that happened, like with her and her friends back, I think it was like 11 years ago or something like that. Now, she had moved away. She came back to her small town. The person that she had accused of this like murderous night that happened is an inmate in this like big prison of sorts. Now, she gets a job at this prison after she says like how, you know, she wants nothing to do with this guy. She hates him. She put him in jail. She cannot believe that he is the reason that all this stuff happened to her, you know? But she gets this job there and she starts talking with him. And then she also reconnects with this other person that was also part of this night. So he was like her childhood friend. So anyway, we're going back and forth between these people. And I'm just like, I need to know, number one, what happened that night. I need to know who is the bad person, because honestly, you keep going back and forth. Is this person that isn't in jail the bad person, or is the person in jail the bad person? Or what is happening? Because I need to know. It was definitely very thrilling, very fast paced. The problem that I had with it, Freida's endings just make me so mad at times. Like, it was so unsatisfactory. I did not get what I thought I was going to get from the ending. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for just like this perfect ending where I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, my mind is blown. I can't believe we got here. And I didn't get that. If you are looking for like a really great popcorn thriller, this is it. If you need something to just devour, to get you out of a reading slump, or just to like really make you fall in love with reading again, I would say this would be a good one to pick up. So yeah, 3 stars for this one. Not too shabby, actually, to start the year off on a 3-star. At least I didn't hate it, and I had a good time reading it, you know? So this year's reading planner is from the Book Sisters. I will see if I can link it down below, and I'm just gonna go through and I will show you some of the spreads I'm going to fill in for this first book that I finished. So this main part is just like where you can fill in like your star ratings, favorite tropes that you have. It's kind of like an about you section. And then I have new releases at a glance, and we come to the bookshelf. So down here, I actually wrote the months because I'm gonna color code the months. And so I'm gonna write the title here, and then I'm going to, well, actually maybe I'll color it first. So I have this purple, and so this first book is going to be purple for January, and then I'm gonna write in, that looks like that. All right, next up we have the reading tracker. So I'm gonna write in that my first book that I read and the date I read. And then I'm also, but this is purple. 5-star reads, obviously that does not get to go on here. We have duology and series tracker, arc tracker, author backlist, which I might put Frida McFadden on here. I put Lucinda Berry because I own some of these books, or they're on Kindle Unlimited, and those are the only ones left that I have to read of Lucinda Berry, so I haven't decided. Trope tracker, I'm probably not gonna fill out. All right, the Inmate for my book club on Patreon. Okay. Then this is my to be read physical shelf, NetGalley shelf, Libro FM shelf. We have book mail, pages and pixels. I actually need to fill out yesterday, but I'll have to like redo the math. So I'm not gonna do that right now, but I've been filling out the pages that I've read. All right, then here's a genre tracker. What I read was thriller. So again, with the color scheme, I'm going to do this purple. So I've read one thriller so far this year, and that was in January. Then reading goals at a glance. I want to read 52 books this year, which is pretty low. Normally I read like 100 or so, but last year with a new baby, I read the lowest I had in like since 2016. So I didn't want to go too far, but I'm going to do this also in purple, so I know that I read my first book in January. Nice. Then this I will fill out at the end of this video, so that way I know my stats for January. And then these are just some challenges that they have in here. Money saved. So did read the Inmate on Kindle Unlimited, which I do pay for, but I bought a 2-year subscription, so that way it was only like $7 a month instead of like, I think it's 11 something now. But I did listen to the audiobook on Scribd. I didn't listen to the full audiobook, but I still listened to the audio. So I feel like I should keep track of this because of the fact that I read it in 2 different formats, because I wanted to see exactly how much money I'm saving by using the library. And I do not pay for Scribd/Everland because of so many people using my link. I have it free for a while, so I don't know if I should just use this for only library books on Libby and at my library, or if I should use this for some of the other things like Kindle Unlimited stuff, so that way I can see just how much money do I save, even if I have to pay for Kindle Unlimited or pay for Scribd, you know, the amount of money that I saved. Think about that one. I'll come back to it. You'll probably see this on my second review, exactly how I'm doing that. And for January, I just did a month of the releases that are coming out that I'm interested in. And then we have monthly hopefuls. So the Inmate, I can check that off. I did read that. And then they did have some weekly things in here, but I pulled them out actually. Monthly reading log, here we go. We're gonna write, this was 388. And I did Kindle and audio. And over here, I will wait until, well, I guess I could put genres read. So far I've read thriller. Oh, number of hours listened. That's really cool. I don't think I knew that. Like I have 3 hours left of the audiobook, and it was an 8-hour audiobook, so technically I listened to 5 hours. I wonder if I should like somehow keep track of that and like just write like 5 hours and then like add it up at the end. Maybe I'll do that. So we kept track down there. All right, so that's all that because that's February. So that's everything that I filled out for the first book that I read this month. Okay, yesterday I finished my second book for the month. I read The Latte Factor by David Bach. This was still technically a buddy read for Patreon. I am doing this thing this year where we have different themes for the month, so that way we can focus on just almost like different resolutions throughout the year instead of having all your resolutions in January. For the month of January, me and my patrons are focusing on finance. We're doing a no spend challenge together. We're doing this dice rolling savings challenge together. It's actually really fun, and it's only $4.99 to be part of my Patreon. I have all of the challenges like for the entire year. We do buddy reads, like it's both bookish content and lifestyle content. But we ended up buddy reading this book together for finance because we also have a buddy read specific for the challenges. I ended up giving this 3 stars. It's definitely better for someone that's like brand new to like budgeting, saving, money in general. If you were someone where you just didn't even think about money, about saving, about anything, then this would be a really good book for you to read. I found it was dubbed down just a little bit too simple. I felt like I got a few tips out of it, but it wasn't anything that was like mind-blowing for me to learn, specifically geared for people that just like kind of spend willy-nilly, that have not even thought about trying to budget for their future, start a 401k, anything like that. This was actually written in like a fiction story. So if you're someone where you're like, ew, gross, nonfiction, like who would ever want to read something like that? You might actually like this because it's literally like a fiction story. It's like telling you money things within this fiction story. So it's about this like 27-year-old girl, and she just lives paycheck to paycheck, and she goes to this coffee shop every day to get like a coffee. And then one of the baristas in the coffee shop sees her looking at like a piece of art that's in there, and she wants to buy the piece of art, but she doesn't have the money to afford it. And she's like, how does anybody get ahead in life if they don't have the money to afford things? And he's like, oh, here are 3 simple steps, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so the story just continues to go on and on. There were times where it felt like things were repeated, or it was like, just get to the point. Like, cool, I'm glad this is a fiction story, but just like, tell me. Like, just tell me, hard, fact, simple. But a lot of people, I guess, like wouldn't like that. This would be easier for them to understand. So there were things that I liked about this book, and then there were just things where I was like, okay, I need something that's like the next level up, you know, like the next stage up. But other than that, it was a decent read. The audiobook is only like 4 hours. It's like 160 pages. I listened to this on Everland, finished it within a day. So if you're just looking for something quick to get through in order to like, you know, maybe save a little money, then this could be something for you. So first off, we are going to write in here. I'm gonna color this purple because it is still January. I read The Latte Factor, and I almost feel like I'm not gonna put the authors in here. I feel like maybe I should just write the book because some of the titles are gonna be longer. Okay, then my reading tracker, and I read this all yesterday. I'm gonna do purple for this, and I'm giving this 3 stars. All right, and this was a non-fiction book. Actually listened to 234 pages yesterday, which was the same as the day before. Well, the same color because this is 200 plus. And then I'm gonna color in my second book of the year. I totally picked the wrong marker. I was like, this looks really blue. All right, then for money saved, I decided I'm keeping track of any of the formats that I've read. So like the Inmate, I had listened to and read the ebook, so I counted both of them and the price. And then for today, oh, and then I'm also counting if it was on Everland or Kindle Unlimited. That way I can see if I'm actually getting my money's worth from these. I had this on audio from Everland, and $9.44 if I would have bought the audiobook. Another thing I decided to do was in my monthly spread, I am marking like the days that I read a specific book. So orange I have as the Latte Factor, the Inmate, it took me 3 days to read, and then the purple, whatever matches the color of the month, is the anticipated releases for the month. So today, Deep Freeze came out. All right, I get to check mark off. I read the Latte Factor, and it was 160 pages, and I listened to the audio, and 3 stars. genres read. I'm gonna put that as nonfiction. Audiobook was 4 hours, so I'm adding that as time that I listened. And then I put nonfiction, and I ended up putting tally marks so that way I can just keep track. All right, the next book that I read here in January was The Women by Kristen Hanna. This is historical fiction, so are we all shocked that I read this? Me, Jackie, read a historical fiction. Also, one that is over 400 pages, like 460 some pages. Who am I right now? This is an ARC that got sent to me from the publisher. I actually did a buddy read with my friend because she had an ARC on NetGalley. This will be coming out in February. I believe it's like February 6th or something. I ended up rating this 3 stars, which honestly though, I am actually proud of that because I thought I was either gonna have to DNF it or I just would not be able to like really enjoy it at all. For me, I feel like 3 stars is actually enjoyable for a historical fiction, although like there are reasons as to why I just couldn't rate it higher. This is about the Vietnam War, which is actually very interesting. My grandfather actually fought in the Vietnam War, and I feel like you never really hear anything about that war. It's always like all the world wars or, you know, just other things instead of Vietnam. And this is about Frankie, who is a girl who wants to go over and be a nurse and help out. But everyone's always just like, oh, there's no women in Vietnam. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't belong over there. And so this is kind of showing the women and highlighting the women that helped out with the war and really sacrificed themselves in order to help the soldiers and stuff. I will say, I don't think I would pick up another book about a war. I do think that the war was boring. Yes, I learned some things, but I just don't think I am someone that would enjoy reading historical fiction about wars. So I'm gonna be looking for historical fiction that doesn't involve that. Also, with Frankie being a nurse, I don't even watch medical shows. Like, I am not someone that likes medical shows or reading about nurses or anything. So I feel like that was another reason why I just didn't like super love it. Now, what did pull me in was the drama that's in here. So Frankie has multiple different love interests. That was entertaining to me because I was trying to find out like what was going to happen and where this was going to go. I actually really disliked Frankie as a character, and some of the relationships I just could not ship, and I was just like, this is a train wreck, like what is going on? I guess that did keep me reading and kept me entertained, but then at the end of the book I was just like, this was just kind of a mess. Like, the relationships were a mess. I just absolutely did not like Frankie, and I feel like I should have liked her. Like, if this book is called The Women and we're highlighting the women of Vietnam, then we should like the character, I feel like. But yeah, so like all of those things, I just could not rate this higher than that. But I thought it deserved a 3 because I finished it. Like, let's all clap for me. I mean, could you believe I finished this? This is amazing. And it wasn't like pulling my teeth out finishing it. Like, it was like, okay, yeah, like I'll read my chapters, I'm gonna finish it, you know? So that is my thoughts on this book. I'm sorry if, you know, you guys are like huge Kristen Hanna fans. This is actually the second Kristen Hanna that I read, and the first one, The Great Alone, I rated 2 stars. This one I rated 3, so we're doing a little bit better, but I think I'm gonna look for some more historical fiction that's not war-based or nurse-based. So if you have any recommendations, let me know, because I really don't know anything about historical fiction. Okay, time to update the planner. I did wanna show you guys, a friend in my book club did this whole Taylor's version rating, so I copied it, and I just absolutely love it. All right, so the third book is The Women. I definitely should have colored that first though, because it's probably gonna smear now. Let's see. Okay, it didn't smear too bad. On the reading tracker, we have, okay, and this I am giving 3 stars. I started this on January 2nd. And I just finished it actually Saturday, which was the 13th. I'm going to maybe put this in purple. This was a physical, so I'm gonna be putting it on Goodreads. I probably should have had it on my physical shelf because it technically was a physical book, but I didn't have it on here. All right, and then it is technically historical fiction. So we're gonna color that in. It is my 3rd book. Also have decided, I just filmed a book bracket challenge that's an exclusive to Patreon, and it was the books that I read last year in 2023, and it was super, super fun. So I am definitely actually going to utilize this for the year, I've decided, and each of these is going, like, that's gonna be like favorite book of January, favorite book of February, favorite book of March. So I probably will write that on here, and then I'm going to divvy it down to just one book. So I'm very excited for that. Ooh, that's right. I forgot I get to figure out the cost. So I read that as a paperback. Don't have the paperback cost, just the hardcover. So I guess I'm gonna put the hardcover, $27. I started it on the 2nd. So we're gonna do this all the way through here, all the way through here, all the way through here. Okay, I forget if I said, but I was thinking about actually putting like the pages that I read each day on here like this. I thought that'd be pretty cool. Okay, so The Women, I did read this. Then monthly reading vlog, or reading log. 480 pages. And genres read, I can add historical fiction here. And I did not listen to any hours of audio, and I forgot that I need to fill this in for days that I've read. 7, 8, 9, 10 days I've read so far. And I think that is it. All right, I am here to update you on another book that I read here in January, and it was terrible, unfortunately. So I read The Drowning by TJ Newman. I'm debating on giving it 1 or 2 stars. Like, I want to just give it 1 star, but then Falling I gave 2 stars, but I actually think Falling might have been like a little bit better than this, so maybe this one does deserve 1 star. I just think that I cannot read books by this author. I do not like this author's writing style where everything happens within one day. Just imagine an action movie and imagine one scene, and that one scene has to be written out word for word and describe every single thing that is happening in that scene. Do you think that that would be thrilling anymore? No, it would be boring, and that's exactly how I feel about these books, Falling and Drowning. Those are the only 2 TJ Newmans I've read, so I don't know how many other books she has, but I just do not like it. I don't know how to picture all of the things that she's talking about with like what's happening with the plane, because it's like I don't know what all of those things look like. I don't know how all of those things work. And so I just find it very hard as a visual person to read her books and appreciate the story and really get into the story, because I have no clue how to picture what is happening. And you just like keep reading and listening to description after description after description, and I just can't. Like, I kind of just need it, you know, plain and simple. This happened, this happened, this happened. Cool, it's the next day. This happened, this happened. I don't know. Anytime I read a book where everything happens in that one day and it's very drawn out that way, I just can't get into it. Unfortunately, this one was supposed to be great and thrilling about like these people that were on this plane and the plane crashes and then they're like isolated. This was my isolated thriller that I was supposed to read this month, and I could not care less about anything that happened to these people on this plane because I just could not follow the story. So I am going to give this, you know, I'm gonna give it 1 star. I'm sorry. It is my first 1 star of the year. I would have DNF'd it if I actually didn't want the reward for this month, which I'm probably still not going to get because I don't know if I have enough time to read the last 2 books that I have. But thanks to this book, it put me in a reading slump. So I'm gonna blame this book. It's not me, it's this book. It put me in a slump, and now I'm mad because I really wanted my reward. Okay, so I accidentally started filling this out earlier. So I colored in right here, but then I remembered and I was like, wait, I have to film this. Right, so we have The Drowning. Okay, The Drowning, 1 star. It was a thriller. And I listened to this on audio from Libby. It would be $17.99. And then I actually did already fill this out, so The Drowning, and I read it those days. It's the blue one. Then I check marked off that I read The Drowning, and I still have 2 more books for this month. I listened to it, and And let's see how many pages it is. I don't know why I keep writing the. It's just Drowning. Whatever. Drowning by T.J. Newman. Okay, 304 pages. And we're going to give it 1 star. And that was another thriller. 7.5 hours, I think. All right, we have come to the end of this wrap up. I want to go over my stats for this month and talk about any other points that I have missed. For future wrap ups, I should be able to make this video shorter, but I really wanted to go into detail with my reading planner and stuff. But now that you guys know what it looks like, I can pretty much just fill out the pages, maybe do like a flip through at the end of the month or something. But for my wrap up for this month, I ended up reading 4 books, and that was 1,332 pages. I had 0 5 stars, 0 4 stars. I had 3 3 stars, 0 2 stars, a 1 star. I did have a DNF, which was Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle. I ended up reading 25%, but I don't ever like count what I read of a DNF. I don't even rate it. I just usually write like a small review of my thoughts about it. But on Goodreads, I had said that this book had such a good premise and idea, but the execution was atrocious. I'm honestly shocked because I loved In 5 Years by this author, but this writing felt so choppy, boring, and all over the place. I couldn't even follow the story, nor did I care about anyone. So that was unfortunate because it really did put me in a reading slump. Like, I had read Drowning as my 1 star book previous to that, and then I tried to read Expiration Dates, and I was just not having a good time over there. So out of the month of January, I ended up reading 13 days. So I read only half of the month. Like, I just got into a slump the whole last half of January, which was pretty sad. I read 2 thrillers, a nonfiction, and a historical fiction. I listened to 16.5 hours total of audiobooks. I ended up reading 1 book in physical format, 1 book in Kindle, and then 2 in audio. Some of those might have also had like maybe some Kindle or some audio in them, but that's just how I'm figuring out. And I saved $66.41 by using Libby, Everand, all that. So that's very, very exciting. I'll show you these spreads here. So we have this yearly reading stats that I filled out. And then this was my main reading stat page that I ended up filling out here. I did not do this correctly. Next time I need to fill this in just in a row where it's like 13 days that I read. I didn't have any top reads or favorite authors of this month. I'm not a quote person, so I'm not gonna figure that out. But all in all, I do love this planner and how all the pages have like turned out and stuff. That's what my shelf looks like. I have 4 books in purple, and then here in February, I will be filling them out in pink. Also, as far as my monthly hopefuls, I ended up not reading 2 books and DNFing that one. So unfortunately, I do not get my reward for this month. Because I didn't finish my TBR, I have to do the punishment that I picked in my TBR game. If you didn't watch, you can watch my TBRs, and that's where I pick like the punishment and the reward for depending upon how I do in my TBR. So that meant that I had to hit 10,000 steps every day in a week. I actually decided to participate in a step bet for February. So I bet $20 along with my friends that you can do, it's 4 regular days and 2 like active power days. So you do have 1 rest day a week. It actually figures out the steps for you based off of like your own stats with your Fitbit and stuff. So for mine, it says that my active day, I have to get 7,750 steps. And for a power day, I have to get 9,370 steps. And this is a 4-week challenge. So even though it's not technically that I'm hitting 10,000 steps every day, I figured that this is a good punishment, like that kind of has the same thing to do with that punishment, but I like that this one is longer, and then I actually could win money at the end, because if you hit all of your stuff at the end, you get a portion well, you get your money back and then you get like a little bit extra portion depending upon how many people fell out of the challenge. So that's what I'm doing for my punishment. But yeah, hopefully February is looking a lot better. It's actually like the 7th today and I am doing a lot better in February. I think I have finished 3 books so far. So let's just hope I don't fall into a slump again. But I'll see you guys very soon in another video. Bye everyone.